Hi everybody, it's Kathy here and I am playing along with a Scrapbook Fantasies, the creative family, where I am using the Boho Beauty and promoting this beautiful paper range on this layout today. So I have got some fussy cut items off this Boho Beauty sheet. This is number 6 and I'm using them from the reverse side. It is a beautiful sheet and I'm also going to be using that beautiful teal for the background. I have these chipboards that are also from Scrapbook Fantasies, and I have the printed colour cuts that I'm also going to pull onto this layout. Now I have 3 photos of my daughters, and we're going to create a very pretty rustic layout today using this wonderful wood grain from the collection. Now I'm going to need also, as I said, this number 6 one here with the teal. And as we work through this process, you're going to see where I realise I make a mistake when I'm cutting, but that's okay because I have another sheet of it. I'm also using Boho Beauty number 4, and that will have all the details for these down below and where you can purchase these wonderful products. Alicia Bradshaw makes and designs all of these products, and they're printed here in Australia, and she does send them out all around the world. So well worth investing in some of these amazing products to create beautiful layouts. So what I've done is I've trimmed down the wood grain one, and I've just taken 1/4 of an inch off the side, and this is where I actually make a mistake, but that's okay because I can use the fussy cutting at the bottom in the end for the rest of the layout. So what I'm doing here is I want this green on the other reverse side, the teal. I want it as a mounting piece for the photos. What I should have just done was halve this piece of paper and then get another one, which I actually do get another one. And I would have saved all this measuring, all this cutting, but I was thinking that I was able to gut it. But when I look at the design that I come up with, that's not possible. So I have to actually get the extra sheet of cardstock anyway. But I am using, as I said, this as my mounting frames for my photos because I want the teal to come through because it's actually going to be minimalist on the layout, but it actually pulls the colours all together from these beautiful paper range. Now, as I said, Alicia makes these herself and she does a great job, and they are the best quality. The paper is just divine to work with. It cuts so beautifully. They're nice quality, nice thickness. It just all works really, really well, and it's reasonably priced. And as I said, she will ship around the world. And trust me, you will love the product when you engage with it. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to use these panels here. And what I want to create is like a louvered barn door effect. So I'm creating the paneling within the framing. And what I do is I do that 3 times, and I've cut it 1/4 of an inch on each side. And I'm using the wood frame, the elements there to guide the rest of the cutting so that it is even and exact on both sides. So that's 1/4 of an inch, as I said, 1/4 of an inch, and I'm using the wood itself to guide the other cuts there, you can see. So then I have my 3 panels ready to go. Now, this is the tricky part, and this is once you get the first one done, the rest is really easy. So what I had to do was I had to work out where I was going to cut and where I was going to fold for these panels because I want them to be a levered louver effect. And this took a little bit of working out, and I actually ended up changing out rulers because that ruler was not working for me. So I know that I've got 1/4 of an inch on the sides, so I took 1/4 of an inch from the top. Then I had to divide it into how many louvers that I wanted, and I wanted 4. So I needed to make sure that I had a cut line and I had a fold line. And so what I was doing here was I realized that I needed to mark it out, and I did them at 3/4 inches. And the reason I did them at 3/4 inches was because that was 4 even cuts across that space, and I then also needed to add in my folds. Alright, so you can see here that I'm thinking about what I've done and I'm adding it in there, and I've just dropped it a little, and that's where it's come in, and they're my cut lines. Now that I have my cut lines, I can then put in my score marks to make my folds, because I want my louver to lift, and I do need that 1/4 of an inch at the bottom so that the page doesn't fall apart. And as I said, it took a little bit of playing for me, and there's where my score lines are going in. So I'm using my blade to cut it because it's a lot easier. I mean, you could use your slide cutter if you wanted to, but I just find that the blade was a lot easier to cut across here. And as you can see, I'm now doing a three-edged cut so that it will lift and build up as I break it through the cardstock. So you can see there that you need to make sure that your cuts are clean and that it goes through. And then that creates the levered effect there. Now changing over with my slide cutter to my embosser, I'm just putting in the embossed 3 folds so that when I go to do the folds, they are nice and clean and they lift beautifully onto the layout like that. So there's my levered door effect that I have for that panel. And I've gone ahead and I am doing that off camera for you for the rest of them. Now I'm just inking up using Uncharted Mariner Distress Oxide all of my chipboard into that tealy bluey colour, and that's because I want it to be a highlight in my clusters, and I'm going to leave that to dry. But before I put it to the side, I'm going to add some splatters, and I'm using the Dina Wakley gilt one. So I'm getting some gold onto it, and I then also use her white one because I like that it's nice and thick and an acrylic, and that gives it that splattered effect across there. So as you can see, I did go ahead and I did all 3 of those panels, and now what I'm going to use is the Distress Oxide Scorched Timber, just to distress each panel on the edges and on the inside of all of those cuts, because I want each of those to have that rustic feel for this layout. Now this takes a little bit of time, and so I'm showing you how I've done one, and then I do the rest off camera. You just ink the edges. I don't want it really smoky, I just want it to have an outstanding edge part there. So there you go, and I've done all those panels, and now what I've done is I have taped them up ready to go, and as you can see, I need to add some glue, and I'm using Nuvo glue here onto the thin scored parts because I want them to adhere to the layout. And as I said, that's where I made my discovery that I had gutted the wrong parts, and I needed to collect another sheet of that number 4. No, I think that's number 6, sorry, number 6 of the Boho Beauty to use underneath my layout here. And that's a shame because it is beautiful, and I tend to not want to waste beautiful cardstock underneath other features, but I found that I needed to for this layout. So I'm just working both edges first so that I can line it up beautifully, and then that leaves the middle panel perfect to sit in my layout. Now when you put it down, you need to make sure that those glue pieces are adhering nicely and fitting into. And as you can see, I forgot to put the glue on, so I quickly add it here so that it will stick and not stick up. So there, when you lay it out by edge to edge, it then all fits nicely. And now I have my 3 louvered doors here, looking like a barn door. And I'm now going to add in the panels, and you will know which one belongs to which because they fit perfectly into the space that you have created. And when you see that, it goes exactly into that where you cut it out. I did trim it a little tiny bit so that the blue shows just as little on the sides. So now that I have the base all assembled, I'm going to put in my photos. And as I said, these are my 3 daughters. These were taken just before COVID. So it was 2020, March 2020. Before we went into lockdown, we got to go and see the Extreme Bulls. And I think that was the last event we saw for 2 years because of COVID. But we went to that. And then shortly after that at Easter, so I think it was actually a matter of 2 weeks, we all went into lockdown for the first time. So I'm popping in some foam tape on these ones here so that I can pop this bottom photo up, and then that allows me to work with the clusters in underneath. Those louvers, I do not want them flat, and off screen when I'm gluing down the clusters after I lay them out, I do put foam tape in underneath to make them pop and stay elevated. Alright, so I'm layering up my clusters, and I'm going to make sure that I have those bull skulls at each of those points, and then I'm putting in the foliage underneath. And what I'm using now is I'm going to use those beautiful colour cuts Alicia has designed and printed, and they're all Australian made, which is really good. But as I said, she will send around the world, so please don't think you can't get it if you're not Australian, because you can. Her products are amazing. And so I'm just layering up in the pinks and the blues all of the flower clusters to build points of interest around the layout. I have the words radiant, beautiful and pretty as my word phrases for this layout, and I'm going to put this foliage, which I fussy cut from that panel that I showed you, in behind to support the chipboard foliage and build the clusters up for height and depth. And I try to put similar items into each of the clusters so that they complement each other as your eye goes around the page. And so I've bulked them up how I want the items in there, and I'm just going to go off screen now to adhere them all into place so you can see how I've put them in. I've popped some up high on foam tape, I've popped the push layering into it, and then you can see on the louvers, like I said, I put that pot foam tape underneath so that they stay raised and elevated on the layout. Now that I have got my clusters in place and my photos in place, I'm going to add some of the gilt splatters just to finish off this layout. It is very pretty. It is a great colour combination, and the gold just highlights the photos and also the elements of the cluster. And there you can see is a 3-photo layout with a little bit of distressing and some interest with those beautiful clusters from the amazing printables from Scrapbook Fantasies. So here you can see it up nice and close. I'm hoping that I've done something here to inspire you to get creative and check out that fantastic range Boho Beauty from Alicia at Scrapbook Fantasies. All the details will be down below. All the links for us there in the Facebook page as well as the store. Have a go. Check out all of the other people who are creating with this amazing range on the Facebook page, and give me a thumbs up if you think I've earned it this time. Thank you to all my subscribers who keep coming back, and if you're new here today and you think you might like to, hit that subscribe button so that you can find out every time I create using this amazing collection from Scrapbook Fantasies, the wonderful Boho collection. Check it out, make sure you have a look at it. Thanks everyone for watching. Leave me a comment down below, I'll get back to you. And here's my next video recommendation for you. Happy scrapping until next time.